Super Delta Dart Part 3. This is making the fuselage and the vertical stabilizer. So we will complete this section of the plane in this video. You will need your scissor and X-Acto knife holder, X-Acto knife for cutting. You'll need your blue glue, you'll need your glue stick, and don't forget that little piece of paper towel to the left of the scissors and X-Acto knife holders to wipe your glue so that you can get it out the next time you use it. You'll also need the fuselage tracer, and I want you to notice that the fuselage tracer has this side up. That will correspond here. So this piece will go in like this, but you're not going to put this piece in. You're going to trace this fuselage tracing stick onto a piece of balsa wood, and then you're going to use the thinner balsa wood for the other parts here. Make sure you start with this side up on the fuselage tracer. Line up the balsa wood at one end, at the end where the propeller will go, and then take a pen or a pencil and trace and then as soon as you've traced, and I know it's a little bit hard to see here, but right on the fuselage tracer it says this side up. So as soon as you take this template off of the balsa wood, trace this side up on here. So now you're ready to cut this. Actually, you're not ready to cut it. You're going to bring both of these pieces to me, and I should see this side up here so that it matches the tracing template. So bring both of these pieces to me. You're going to show me, and then you will not have to show me any more of your cutting after this piece is done. When you're ready to cut, make sure you have your cutting board underneath your cardboard, and use a ruler. Do some switching around here a little bit. It's hard to get all this on camera. You can put the ruler right up to your line and really hold the ruler down. And in order to cut this, this was in the safety rules, but notice I have the X-Acto knife on top of the ruler here. Notice how you can see a very thin line for the back of the X-Acto knife. When you're cutting, you want to make sure that that's all you can see. So get right over what you're cutting and look down, and you should just see that. You do not want to see something like that or like that, because that will tell you that you're going to be cutting at an angle, and that's not going to be good for what you're doing. So keep everything nice and flat. And you're going to have to make multiple passes, so just go nice and easy. And again, it's important that you're just seeing that thin back of the X-Acto knife and not a wide blade. This piece can go in scrap wood. X-Acto knife in the holder when you're not using it. Okay, now we're ready to take our fuselage and we're ready to glue it onto our tissue paper. And notice how I have this side up on the tissue paper that I wrote here. You want to make sure that you have this side up when you glue this down. If you don't glue this down this way, if you glue it down like this, your plane will not fly. So this is a crucial step. To glue this wood to tissue paper, you're going to take glue stick and put glue stick on the tissue paper. Make sure you cap the glue stick so it doesn't dry out. And then glue the wood onto the tissue paper like that. The next step would be doing the vertical stabilizer since we're done with the fuselage. So remember before I said put your pens and pencils away, you won't need them again. What you're going to do is you're going to use your X-Acto knife to mark, first of all, mark your pieces, and then also to cut them. So make sure you get a nice fit down here. Take your X-Acto knife and you're going to mark basically this line right here on your piece of balsa wood. Don't do any cutting on the plastic sheet and the cardboard. So mark it here, and then take and put that on the cutting board and cut it. And remember, your X-Acto knife straight up and down, so thin line like this, not like that. And I'm applying pressure here. This is kind of a tough piece of balsa wood. And just kind of rocking it back and forth. Alright, and remember always to put your X-Acto knife in the holder when it's not in your hand. Check to make sure that it fits. If it's the right fit, then you can glue it in place. First you're going to do glue stick. But if you only do glue stick here, what will happen is your vertical stabilizer will flop on the fuselage. So what you should do in an odd corner that's going to be away from you, take your glue bottle and put a couple of drops of glue. You don't need a lot. A couple of drops of glue in a place where it's not going to get on you. Dip one end into the glue and then put it onto your tissue paper. And more glue here is not better, and you definitely do not just want to put glue on top. You want to get, if I want to glue my fingers together, I glue my fingers where they're touching now. So same thing for the wood. Only where wood touches wood do you put blue glue. To cut your second piece, what you will do is place the other piece of balsa wood on top of the fuselage and on top of this part of the vertical stabilizer. And you want to cut the part that's going to be touching the fuselage first. So don't do something like this where you're going to be cutting off and wasting this piece. Put it close to where you don't have to cut off a lot. And I'm going to be marking this part of the vertical stabilizer based on the top of the fuselage right here. So again, get right over the top of what you're cutting. Look down, you should see that really thin line. Okay, and mark it with the X-Acto knife. Put it on your cutting board and cut. And remember, nice thin line here on the back of the X-Acto knife. Put it in place to see if it's a good fit. And if it's a good fit, well, that's pretty good. Then you're going to take, and now you're going to mark this part of the vertical stabilizer based on this line right here, this other part of the vertical stabilizer. And I'm having a hard time doing this with the iPad in front of me. So I'm going to mark it here like this. Put this onto the cutting board. Check the fit. And if it's a good fit, that looks pretty good. What do we use to glue the balsa wood to the tissue paper? That is correct, glue stick. So put glue stick on the tissue paper. Not quite on my piece of cardboard here. And then to glue wood to wood, you're going to dip both ends into, and I got to get more glue, dry it up. While I was posting two of my first two YouTube videos. So this time you're going to dip both ends into the blue glue. And all you want to do is you want to get glue on that one surface. You don't want to have it all over the place here. Oops, try to get that on camera. Okay, and that's a good fit. Now I'm a little bit off here. You can see that there's an opening there. So what I'm going to do, and I'll do this off camera, is I'm going to stick 2 pins in here so you can see what that should look like. But you want these all to be a nice tight fit. And other than that little piece right there where you can see there's a gap, this one's good. So here it is now with the two pins in place. There's still a little bit of a gap. But anyway, there's the two pins holding it in place. Now we're ready to go on to the fourth video, which is doing the horizontal stabilizer. So you want to do the vertical stabilizer and fuselage exactly the way I've shown you in this order. So that is Super Delta Dart Part 3.